All right, guys, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. Tons to talk about today. So, I mean, first of all, we've got all the storylines that came out of last weekend at the Memorial.
Right.
Everything from Rory to the incredible display we saw from Scottie Scheffler, just struggling on the greens, but just lighting it up everywhere else. And then afterwards, we even had, a disappointed Rory talking to Jack, saying like, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't finish. And Jack's like, we need to sit down and talk. So we got to speculate what that's over. Even, on the women's side, we have Rose Zhang came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's a cool
story. What she's done. Even some stuff to talk about Liv, Matthew Wolff. There's so much to go over. So hang tight. We got a lot to dig into today. But I want to kick it off first talking about, we had put up a poll on our, Instagram story. Half jokingly talking about this concept, right? And if anybody missed it, I'll just catch you up real quick here. So there is a golf course. It's a very unique golf course. I think it's down in the Carolinas that has a hole 0. And on it says warm-up hole.
Right.
Now, they're known for having a lot of funny, quirky golf holes. One of those being, I think, the longest.
Yes, I know you're talking about. This is in Virginia, actually.
It's in Virginia.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
We got to get down there and play it at some point.
One's like a baseball field.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got some great, but it's like very conceptual. So one though, I wondered if it would catch on at all, was this idea of having a hole that doesn't count, hole 0. And we all talk about how the first tee jitters, we struggle the first hole, just kind of finding our rhythm. So we put out a poll and we said, should there legitimately be a warm-up hole, a hole 0? So basically you play 19 holes, but only 18 of them count for your score. The first one just does not count.
Has to be the first one.
Has to be the first one, no matter what happens. Right. If you shoot a triple bogey, it's not on the card. But as I said, is it like a nail in the coffin right out the gate if you shoot birdie?
If you do well, yeah.
On the hole that doesn't count?
Right.
Or is it a big confidence builder? So we put this poll out and we got the results here.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah.
71% of you said, yes, please, let's have a warm-up hole. 56 votes, 29% said, no way, you don't want it. There was a lot of comments saying, guys, that's what the putting green and the driving range are for. But my counter to that is that, sure, like for your gamer golfers, you use the driving range and your putting green to kind of get a vibe for the speeds and the conditions of the day.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of us weekend hackers that are just it's more nerves than it is skill.
You're totally right.
That first hole, we're just
you just want to get out and running.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Or you're so fired up, you've been thinking about your round all week, and you get out there that first hole, and it's just you haven't settled in too. So,
and I love it because then you can report to the warm-up hole, 20 minutes before your round? Otherwise, you'd have a nightmare out there. You can't have people just going to it like a range.
Well, somebody in the comments said very smartly, and he probably was a starter at some point, be like, the warm-up hole would be great. I'd be able to send guys out there while I'm waiting for the first tee.
Yeah, that's just it. So you get there 20 minutes before your tee time.
Right.
It's your tee time is now on the warm-up hole 20 minutes before your tee time. Right. And you do that and you come back.
I can see the starter being like, hey, you're a 1 o'clock tee time. You're on the warm-up hole at 12:48.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need you on the warm-up hole.
And then I need you on the first tee by 1.
Right.
Okay.
Right, or just having an option for when it's getting stacked up on the first. Maybe you play it or you don't have to play it. The starter could be like, guys, we got a little bit of a backup here. You got time. You want to play the warm-up hole while you wait? Go ahead, go tee up on the warm-up.
Think about what it would do. You can even drop some balls while you're close to the green.
Yeah.
And you can get a feel for chipping. And then up there, you could putt 8 balls. So you're doing everything you need. I think it's brilliant. More courses needed.
I love it. Look, and it of course, it'd be a cost associated with its space, all things. But listen, on a more serious note, I'm a big advocate of, and I love, and we've been seeing this more and more, of the golf courses that are putting in those short courses. They're 9 or 18 holes of par 3s ranging in maybe 40 yards to 100 yards. And I just love it. It's another way to be out there. It's like this transition between, somewhere between the real course and the range.
Yeah.
It's just something in between.
Right.
That still gives you that practice. So I don't know, but you guys can weigh in the comments and let us know if you think a warm-up hole, the 19th hole 0, really. 19 is the bar, 0 is the warm-up hole.
Hole 0.
You guys let us know if you think that's a good idea. But let's quickly touch on last week's event, and then we'll breeze into what we've got coming up, which is the RBC. And we touched on this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, talking about this grueling schedule.
Yeah.
Because there's a handful of guys, as of right now, unless we see a withdrawal, Rory included, who could potentially be playing in the RBC and then flying from there across the country to the. Well, actually, where in Canada is it? It might be on the
middle.
coast.
It's like
middle?
mid,
Okay.
right? Mid. It's like above the Wisconsin area,
like Toronto area.
I'm not sure where it is. Like
they showed the map this morning on TV, and where they had it was like kind of north of Wisconsin.
So either way, it's still a haul. So let's say you're playing Sunday,
and is he flying back across the next week to the Travelers East Coast?
I think he is, 'cause it's another elevated event, and Rory can't miss another elevated event. So you take a guy like Rory, for example, if he's in contention Sunday at the RBC, he's got to finish up in Canada, fly to LA, start getting some practice and warm-ups in, getting ready for the U.S. Open. U.S. Open wraps up, and he's flying back across the country to Connecticut to play in the Travelers for an elevated event with a $20 million purse.
Yeah, crazy.
So it is crazy. But you had coming down the stretch, first of all, Hovland with an incredible win, at Jack's Place, the Memorial. That's one that these guys all want to win.
Mm-hmm.
Elevated event, huge purse, $3.6 million that he takes home.
Does Hovland have the best smile in golf?
He's always smiling.
He definitely seems like the happiest guy on tour, doesn't he?
They always knock him because they no matter what, when he's mad, he just always looks like he's smiling.
But I tell you what, a lot of people would trade lives with Victor Hovland.
Yeah.
I could see why he's smiling. He's bringing home bank. He's one of the best golfers in the world.
Absolutely.
It's just incredible. But he had just such a great day Sunday, goes into the playoff, ends up winning the playoff. It's a big one no matter what for these guys to win. So that was just incredible. The other story and some of the memes that were coming out around Rory just falling apart. Did you see some of these? I saw
them all. They're great.
The Rory, live look at Rory during the final round, just choking. Everyone's gonna say chokes. This one was kind of funny. Rory maybe thinking Liv's not so bad. 54 hole leader.
Multiple times this year.
Hate it when these things fall apart.
Is that cornbread?
Yeah,
cornbread.
The Nature Valley Crunchy Bar, big time. Those are the worst.
Rory, but but this tells the story. Look at this tweet from No Laying Up. Rory, bogey on 5 with a wedge in hand, bogey on 7 with a wedge in hand, 13 with a wedge in hand, 14. So that's 4 bogeys with a wedge in hand, and which you think, Rory, that should never happen,
right?
But it just shows you, to win any of these PGA Tour events, you've got to be firing on all cylinders. Everything's got to be working. And the stat that just kept hitting me over the weekend, and everyone was talking about it, was how really tragically poor Scotty Scheffler's putting was.
Could you imagine if he turns that around?
Incredible. So this is just, look at this, strokes gained against the field. Denny McCarthy was in first, gaining 9 strokes against the field putting. Scotty Scheffler was in dead last on the weekend, losing 8.4 strokes to the field in putting. To put this in perspective, at one point, Scotty was right there at the top of the leaderboard on Sunday, right? I got to dig up the exact stat, but I saw something that said the last time someone lost 8 strokes putting to the field and made the cut even was 20 years ago. You don't lose 8 strokes putting and be in contention. It's unheard of.
Yeah.
We had some of the other Scotty stats. I don't know if you have them there, but it just shows, look at this. He gained 19 strokes on the field in strokes gained tee to green.
Wow. Look at that.
He made up so many strokes tee to green.
Can you explain what that means?
So he was 19 strokes better in average than to the field.
What does that mean? He got to the green 19 strokes before everybody else? How does it break down?
It's kind of loosely kind of that way. Basically what it means is on average, take the field in average. He was on the 19 stroke better side. So the putting one's easier to think of. It's basically think about taking the average of how everyone was putting that day. He was 8 strokes behind that. He was basically giving 8 strokes back to the field. So think about Scotty. If he even putt remotely good, he wins that event.
Yeah.
Even remotely well.
Right.
But pull that stat back up. So he had
remotely well. Yeah. Look at that. Jeez.
Plus 11 strokes gained approach. It's just
19.93.
Unbelievable. It's just he was, in other words, there was almost nobody out there who was better tee to green than Scotty Scheffler. But once he got the flat stick in hand, he lost 8 strokes to the field.
Was he just not dropping his birdies?
Yeah,
so he was putting for birdies, just wasn't making them.
He wasn't making putts.
Does this actually trend positively for him going into the U.S. Open? If he can just pick up his putting, is he just going to be dialed?
If he puts a focus on his putting,
there's so many things to it. Certain greens suit guys better. He could have been just struggling on those greens, but also putting is such a confidence thing. It's not something that I think a lot of these guys turn around in a weekend. You've seen guys like even Rory struggling with putting, making putter changes. Sometimes you'll see a putter change come into play. Sometimes you see there's so much that can be changed in putting as opposed to other areas of the game. Putting grips. Sometimes you see guys messing around. It just seems like it takes some guys a little bit of a time to get out of there.
Imagine we see Scotty rock up to the U.S. Open with like a full like arm lock set up.
Yeah, right.
Just like completely change the game.
Broomstick.
Yeah. Well, listen, you never know. But the reality is, though, it could have just been an off week. Some of these guys can just shake it off and just do better. But sometimes you can get involved with like a mental coach or whatever it may be. But interested to see what it means because I still think Scotty's the guy to throw a couple of bucks on for the U.S. Open.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, I think that's a little bit of an outlier, and it just shows if he can be that much in contention, even when his putter's not hot, all he needs to do is he doesn't even have to get a hot putter. He just needs to have a regular putter.
He does, man. He just regular. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I bet big on Brooks for the last one. I'm going big on him again.
Yeah, you won like $300.
$330.
You kind of have to throw a lot of money on Brooks.
I'm going to up my little stupid $5 bet.
And like, if you think about it, these guys have been playing hard for the last like 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
Brooks has had one event since the PGA Championship.
Right.
And he played pretty well coming off an absolute bender.
Right.
So
yeah, he still did well.
If now he's got 2 or 3 weeks of prep, he's probably out in LA. He's probably playing the course.
Yeah. We're going to have to see because I think, Brooks, you're right. You can make an argument that he's the guy who's got the most rest. Because he's not playing, like we mentioned earlier, the grueling schedule of these elevated events, these designated elevated events, going back and forth. But
you got to think like the PGA Tour guys, not like are just kind of at this moment like angry, right? Like think about it. Like you got like they're in the back. Like think a guy like Matt Fitzpatrick. He's sitting in the back going like we're flying all over the world, on these elevated events, and these guys are just coming in and they're crushing it. And yeah, I could see a lot of bitter people still.
I wonder if the PGA Tour might make the case that we push the pedal too far.
That's just it.
I think they definitely have.
Yeah, and then maybe they'll say, listen, the case to be made to get the top tier talent is to actually back the schedule off. Yes, I think what they were thinking was, listen, if we can squeeze a ton of these $20 million purse events, it's going to be such a lucrative thing for these guys that they're going to all want to play. They're all going to want to stay on tour because it takes the idea of like, it bridges the gap between LIV being so lucrative.
Yeah.
But the same token, you get guys like, let's say a guy like Brooks, who like has admitted he only really cares about majors. If he can still play in the majors and he can use a nice loose, not too, strenuous LIV schedule to just stay in form.
Yeah.
And show up at majors.
Show up and do what he does.
Everybody's saying that once Brooks, his contract with LIV is up, that he would try and get back on the PGA Tour. But I don't know if that's the case necessarily because he'd only be playing like 15 events for LIV, and then he's playing the majors. And if he's still in the majors, if he keeps winning, he's going to be qualified for them.
Right.
So I honestly don't think he would ever go back to the PGA Tour.
Well, listen, I mean, where he expressed it was he did say early in the year he missed events like the Waste Management, and there's certain ones I'm sure, like a lot of these guys might miss being at like Jack's place and playing the Memorial.
Genesis, they like that one.
Right, there's a few big events, but on the whole, yeah, especially coming from a guy like Brooks who said he really doesn't practice for these other tournaments, the majors matter. But the divide is still there, and evidence was it. Did you see what Jack was saying? So basically, he's just saying, I don't really consider the guys, and when he says these guys, referencing LIV, he says, I don't really consider these guys part of the game anymore. And I don't mean that in a nasty way or really mean it in that way. To me, we've just got the best field. So he's just basically saying he was looking at the field at the Memorial and basically saying, this field is so strong, I don't miss those guys.
Yeah.
But it just
imagine
shows
how
you
that field would be if it had Brooks, if it had Cam Smith, like.
Yeah, DJ.
Right. I think the case that a lot of people can make is that there's just so many unbelievably good golfers right now that even without some great golfers in Brooks and Cam, you still got a wealth. You're overwhelmed with great talent.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the case he's making is like, I don't really miss them in that way. If 10 of the best guys went over to LIV and I've still got 50 incredible players here.
Yeah.
I wonder. We'll see how that translates later in the year when we get to the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I'm curious, and that's another thing. Speaking of Brooks, though, but think about how like that would be the perfect lifestyle for him. Like to answer your question, Zach, about what is he going to do when his contract at Live is up? Like he could just show up to these 4 majors and just play golf those 4 times. Just imagine, it's like
that's true. He doesn't even have to play on Live. He could just show up to the majors,
right? Imagine you work with like a trainer. You work with your coach. He works with Claude Harmon weekly. Stays in shape.
Yeah,
and just lives like he's got $80 million in the bank, whatever it is, and he just shows up at the majors. He wins those things. Maybe gets on Ryder Cups. That's like what he probably ultimately wants in life.
right. Well, listen, if he was to win the Masters,
Yeah.
he's got a lifetime exemption.
Lifetime there.
Okay.
Yep.
He's got an exemption for quite a while now for the PGA. But if he didn't win the PGA, both the U.S. Open, actually all 3, the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and the PGA are all qualifying events.
Yes.
He could go through the regular qualifying stages and qualify his way in and just play majors for the rest of his life.
He could. But he's good for 5 years now.
Boys,
Yeah.
I think we figured it out.
Yeah. Right.
But, you know, it's you're not getting at that point he's not getting any more big paychecks. He's already got the big paycheck from Liv, but he wouldn't be getting sponsors and stuff like that if you're only appearing 4 times a year, most likely. But regardless, I'll tell you, and I want to mention one more thing about Liv before we do a commercial break. But before that, just sparked my thought on it. The U.S. Open qualifying is today, the longest day in golf, and there's guys qualifying everywhere. I mean, I want to point it out again that this is one of the things that I love about this sport. You simply cannot do this in any other sport. The fact that you still have to be a tremendous golfer, but if you're a great amateur golfer and you can string together a couple of good rounds, you can put yourself in the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Where else can you do that?
Right.
You can't be like casually playing baseball and be like, I got a couple, I'm going to qualify my way into the World Series this year. You just couldn't do that. But the reality is the stories that come out of it are so incredible. You got a guy who's a UPS driver who's working to qualify. There's all different areas of the game. You got Michael Block stories.
Michael Block's
his son.
Yeah, you don't get these in any other sport, But then on top of that, some of these qualifying events that are going on today, you've got guys who are just pure AMs going up against
Sergio.
PGA Tour guy. Did you see where's it down in North Carolina?
Sergio already qualified.
Oh, we did. Right.
Harold Varner.
Yeah.
He's playing at that course down in North Carolina. There's like one house on the property. He's staying there and he's just working on his way and qualifying his way in.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, he's hot right now. Didn't he just win?
He won on Live.
Yeah.
So there's ways that these guys can get in. But anyway,
that's cool.
Speaking of Live real quick, the other thing we got to discuss is Matthew Wolff.
Yeah. So he's booted.
So Matthew Wolff, let's dive into this for a quick second. This is now he's been kicked off the team here, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know all the specifics of what goes on behind the scenes of when, why, or where or how he got kicked off. But now this is the second team that he has been departed from since joining Live. It makes me wonder, and this is what I've said before talking about Liv. I think Liv needs a little bit better communication. So like for us who are casually following it can kind of understand how this goes. Because now I'm left wondering, what does that mean for him? If you're teamless, are you gone?
Yeah, exactly. Are you a rotation guy? Do you come in off of like...
But what team do they stick you on?
Is he coming off the bench off some other team?
Right. Is other team going to scoop him up last minute? But if you're teamless, are you out?
That's what nobody knows.
That's the thing. I need a little bit better.
We need a little something.
And
here.
If you guys know, drop it in the comments below. I'll tell you, it's because admittedly I don't follow it super closely, but that to me, okay, that's fine. There's a lot of peripheral Live watchers out there that I think it's smart for Live to communicate this better. Instead of just your diehards, bring in other people by communicating better what that means. They should be putting out a little more information. Like if a guy goes teamless, if he's bumped off of a team, what does that mean for him? But even more so, it makes me wonder, what does it mean with Matthew Wolff? Like, why has he been pushed off of 2 teams?
Yeah, and if you don't have a job at Live and you're off the PGA Tour, then what?
Then what is right. But it does make me wonder, because all I've ever known and heard of Matthew Wolff is that he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like the type of guy that is shaking up teams and creating any type of a bad team atmosphere that you want him off the team. So,
but also
maybe
they're not going to tell us that.
No, they're not going to tell us.
He's just going to do qualifiers for majors.
Right.
Go that route. I mean, what else? That's what I'm saying. What do you do if you're released from Live and now you're no longer a PGA Tour member?
But is that because he would be like the first person released
If he
from
was
Liv,
released.
right?
Again, we don't know where he is, what
Right.
team he'll land on.
Now, he's also one of the contract guys.
Uh-huh.
He's one of the guys who signed a contract
Yeah.
to go over. Not everybody got contract money to go to Live. There's some
Right.
there's some
And
names
he did.
we don't, are not
It
household
wasn't
names.
probably a ton,
No,
but
but
it was
like
something life-changing.
yeah, ton to us.
Yeah.
Maybe not to him, but
In
regardless,
relation to
though,
the
now
big
two
boys.
teams that he's off, it just makes me wonder exactly what that means for him. And
he's
why.
won some money, I think, a little bit here and there while he's been on Live.
Yeah.
He's been on some of those winning
All you got to
teams.
do is be out there and you're winning money.
Exactly. So he's
Is your team
he's-
does well. Look at
season and a half on Live so far for him. I'm sure financially he's doing quite well. So I'm saying in the long run, if he does get released, I'm sure his life is set up for him. I'm sure he's
but
good to go.
it's just something I could have never predicted because he was the guy like
He
we
was in
look at
college
Hovland,
3 years ago.
who
You know
just
what I mean?
won,
Like, yeah.
right? And we were like, it was always Hovland, Morikawa, and Wolf were the three big guys in that conversation of the new young guns coming up, making all this noise and playing really well. And now, you see Hovland just won on PGA Tour, and Matthew Wolf is teamless on Live.
And
I would have
Wolf
never expected
Wolf
that.
hasn't been playing poorly, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's been in the hunt, not in the hunt, but he's coming in top half of Live, whatever
Right.
that means. But
Right.
he's not playing bad golf.
Which makes me wonder, what would be the reason that he would be dropped from two teams? Just don't know.
He's a young dude, too. He's
Yeah.
like 24, 25, if that.
Yeah, he's young. I think he was one of the
Super
young
young,
guns
yeah.
that we were all talking about.
And there's a little bit more backstory on the Matt Wolf thing. He's a Nike guy,
Yeah.
a Nike TaylorMade guy. Brooks is a Nike guy. Brooks's team reportedly was supposed to be getting investment from Nike. Nike was going to be the lead sponsor of Smash GC.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so it didn't really make sense why Matt Wolf would be kicked off the team on the verge of the company that sponsors him
Right.
sponsoring
There
the
might
team.
be stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, it just makes you
financially.
wonder how much of it is sponsor driven too.
Yeah.
'Cause now, if team sponsors, I'd be shocked if that's true that Nike was going to come in and
Yeah,
sponsor.
could you imagine?
I can't because we haven't seen any big global brands assign their name to Live yet. They just are still keeping their hands off. They're seeing a couple of names of brands that are starting to dabble with it, but no big name brands because they're still afraid of the optics of what that means. And I could see Nike not wanting a boycott.
Do you think that if Nike was to sponsor Smash GC, that it would legitimize Live a little bit more? A big, massive, multi-billion-dollar company like Nike that everybody knows, everybody wears. Does that just take Live to another level if they do get a massive deal with Nike?
It's tough to say, or does it work the other way? Does it hurt Nike when they?
Let me tell you something. Nike's banging boardroom tables.
Yeah.
They're back. You know why? Because they get ratings when Tiger plays forever.
Yeah.
And when Brooks competes in these U.S. Opens, he's Nike'd out.
Yeah.
So right
Doesn't
now
even
they're
wear Liv
banging
stuff.
tables, loving life. Because they're going to get ratings no matter what. Because Brooks just stays wearing Nike. I've never seen him wear his logos for Liv.
Well, that was
he
the other
doesn't
thing.
even in Live. He doesn't.
Even in
wear
that photo you had that
Yeah.
you just put up there, he had Nike, Nike, and the other guys have the Smash shirts and hats.
And if you look, Wolf, you can kind of see the
Wolf-
swoosh.
Wolf
on his
has a-
chest. He's got Nike
Well,
shirt
because-
on.
Oh yeah,
Wait, I want to clarify this. Is Brooks still on a Nike contract?
I think so. Unless he's just lazy
Well,
and
that's what
wearing
I'm
what he
saying.
has.
No, that's
You
what I'm
know what I
saying.
mean?
If he's still on a Nike contract, that's why he's wearing it.
100%.
I think the other guys that's waiting for who are wearing the Smash or whatever,
They don't
they're
have
doing it because
anything.
they don't have a contract,
Correct.
and that's their fallback.
Correct, but he's not being like DJ's wearing his team stuff. Phil's wearing his team stuff. Brooks is not.
Yeah, but DJ parted
they're
ways
all
with
gone.
Adidas.
But DJ was still wearing his Four Aces stuff when he was sponsored by Adidas. So it's who knows what the actual rules
there's
are.
a lot of ways we could speculate this, but I mean, one way you
Yeah.
could say is look, here's the biggest billboard for Liv is Brooks Koepka right now, and he's not wearing any Liv stuff,
yeah, I know.
and he's not also not a huge champ. He's not a guy who wants to talk about it that much,
right.
You know what
He's
I'm
not
saying?
your
So
best champion
they had this
for
big
it.
opportunity to have a billboard, and they don't. But
My other quick point on Liv and what they could do to be better if they wanted to is do an hour-long recap show. And they're not going to have a station for this. Maybe it's on their YouTube channel. That if people wanted to, you can get the info of Matt Wolf, the drama, what happens to him now,
Yeah, a
who
weekly
won this
Liv
week,
recap
what were
would
the
be
scores.
amazing.
Give me a recap like Golf Channel does.
yeah,
I'll take that all day.
Just
Maybe
a
they
lot
do
of
it,
places
and I
don't
just
want to touch it. Yeah, or we don't know where to watch it.
right exactly.
That's what I'm saying. The communication on their end has to be better.
Yeah.
Anyway, We're going to do a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, though, I want to talk about, Phil is back. They let him
Twitter
out of the
Phil's
cage.
back.
Oh, there's
baby.
some big beef going on. Is he going to join the broadcast booth with Chambly?
Never.
Well, there's
Is it
Chambly
going to
would never-
happen?
there
Chambly would
there
never
is
let that happen.
word of their possible debate.
I can't
Like a
wait.
televised
Yeah,
debate
that's what I mean.
between the two
That's
of them.
it. That's what we
Not
gotta-
the broadcast booth. Like
Oh, it's a debate
a debate. They're setting the stage for a debate.
where they just sit down like
And they
what
have
we
it
see with
out.
presidential candidates.
Right. So we got
Oh,
that
man.
possibility. Like I
Okay.
said, mentioned, we'll talk really quick. Rose Zhang too, incredible what she did. And I want to talk even briefly about from some stuff for us. We're going to be, getting fit for and testing the new Titleist T Series irons.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. So we got quite a bit. So let's do a quick word from our sponsor. We'll bounce back into it. Listen, we all aspire to outperform the player we were yesterday, and this takes practice, commitment, and trusting the golf ball will perform the way you need it to on every type of shot. So the new Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X are the most advanced yet and will help reward your best swings like never before. Both models are longer, even more consistent, and feature unrivaled control. The Pro V1, it's the best combination of distance, spin, and feel in the game and delivers that penetrating ball flight. The Pro V1X, it flies higher, spins more in the short game, but it still gives you that low spin on long shots to really maximize your distance. So find out more about the new Pro V1 and Pro V1X, including which is the best choice for your game at Titleist.com.
And guys, FootJoy is the #1 shoe in golf because they offer the widest selection of sizes, styles, and performance options of any shoe out there. Some of our favorites have been the Premier's Wilcox's, the Hyperflex, and the Hyperflex Carbon. And that whole entire Premier series, it's easily the top shoe that we see out there on tour. You can't not mention the FootJoy Fuels. I love those. They've got those awesome colorways of blue and pink. We rock those in Sea Island. We're still rocking them now. I brought in the light blue ones to Myrtle Beach. I was wearing those, super comfortable. And let me tell you something, everything in their arsenal is legit. You have to see it for yourself. You got to trust the brand that's been #1 forever. Trust your game to FootJoy, the #1 shoe in golf. All right, guys, I want to talk about the Rapsodo MLM2. It's now June. I'm sure a lot of you have gotten it. I know you were on the waiting list. You purchased it back in January when this thing launched, or March even. But we've been having a lot of fun with it. And if you're listening and you don't see this thing, it is a small device that you easily tuck away in your golf bag, and it measures a ton of different stats about your golf swing. Frank, we've been using it for a long time, even their first edition. But like, I want to throw it on you. Like, what's been one of your favorite things
I'd say
about
what
this?
I love is that it builds on the original MLM was so good.
Yep.
And it did so many things for an incredible price. In fact, now you can still get it. It's not been discontinued. They're running alongside of each other. This is the MLM2 Pro for people who want to unlock even more. But the original MLM, now you can get it for $399.
Yes.
So for the price of a rangefinder, you're getting a lot of great stuff. But what you unlock with the MLM2 Pro is we've got the multiple cameras that are built into it. We can see our impact in slow motion, which really helps from a game improvement standpoint. And on top of that, it really suits that dual purpose, whether you want to bring it out on the range, super portable, and get more effective range sessions, or you want to use it into a net, indoors,
Yeah.
simulator. Simulator is so big, especially for guys like us where we've got 3-4 months of the year where we can't be outdoors. We keep our game going. It's been I would say easily one of the biggest game improvement tools for me so far that I've used.
I couldn't agree anymore. And you know what? I went to a birthday party the other night, and I was talking to this guy about golf, and he's like, dude, I got 12-foot ceilings, and I got a net in my basement. He's like, what do I do? I'm like, get a Rapsodo MLM2 Pro.
Yeah.
$700. He goes, wait, what is it called? And I had to educate him.
Yeah.
And when I told him all about it, he's like, and I just hooked this thing up, and I have simulation.
Exactly.
I'm like, dude, and the simulation is legit.
Exactly.
So
we love it for all those reasons, guys. Got to check it out. Go to the Rapsodo website. Check out the MLM2 Pro. As Mike said earlier, there's been a lot of issues with stock because the demand was so much more than anyone can anticipate, and they've sent out countless emails just keeping you updated on the waiting lists and things like that. So what I would say is, don't wait, pull the trigger. This thing is awesome. You're going to love it, and you're going to use it for years to come. So go check out that Rapsodo MLM2 Pro. All right, so before we dive into this whole Twitter feud we've got going on again with Phil, one funny story, Mike. I mean, how random is this? I had dinner with Gordon Ramsay last Friday, and actually, you're going to be on the show. What's the show called? It's on Fox.
I can't tell you these things I signed, what the name of the show is.
Oh, okay.
But what I can tell you is that, so the whole thing was very random. I got a DM. It was in the DM requests.
Yeah.
The ones you almost don't see. So I'm glad I checked it. And it was a TV show producer, and she was like, hey, I came across your page, you know, golf content creator locally. We're filming in New Jersey. We'd like for you to come and be a part of this casting for this show. I'm like, all right, interesting. I thought it was getting punked. I thought it was so
of
fake.
course.
So she drops the phone number. Call me. We'll talk about it. So I was like, get this area code. I have no idea. But I looked at her profile. It's a TV show producer.
Yeah, right.
I did my research. Gave her a call. She chatted. She was excited. And she's like, someone dropped out. We want to put you as our VIP. And I'm like,
now you really think she's scamming you.
now I really think I'm
VIP Mike.
Yeah.
right. So I'm like, okay. So I'm driving to this. I brought my wife, and I get there, and I'm like pulling in, and I'm like, I don't see trailers, trucks. I'm like, this is not happening. I was up to that point.
Yeah.
Then we turn the corner, and you see the whole production. I'm like, all right, trailers, people sitting in the chairs, the director chairs.
At that point, at least you'd know you're getting scammed by someone who put some thought into it.
Right. At least at this point, we're on a legitimate TV show of me getting scammed. So it'll be something fun.
Ashton Kutcher popping out of the bushes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I got there, I checked in, I had to like sign all the waivers, and I tried to get the Golficity logo. I had it on my sleeve like this. I'm like, I'd love to wear this on the show because, you know, it's my company's logo, and they're like, fine, just sign off on it. It's cool. Then I couldn't wear that shirt because it was too busy. So I scrambled. I'm like, what am I going to do? At one point they were like, can you go to the mall? Like they wanted me there. I was the VIP where all the cameras were in the restaurant. So I was a big part of this filming, I guess. I'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. So the pro shop was still open, and the guy thankfully gave me a shirt for free. Shout out Marty in the pro shop. He's like, dude, you're here for us. Take it. He gives me this white Under Armour shirt. You know, I just took it. I'm like, a word from now. Gave it to my dad. I'm like, here you go, Dad. He loves it. But I got in there. I sat down. But the whole experience was great because a server comes over to you with a menu, and she's just like a normal restaurant. We're order, and then out of nowhere, Gordon walks in. And there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, guys with boom mics while you're talking. So these hot wigs come out. I'm shoving them in my mouth. They're steaming. I got cameras like right here. And I'm like, and I'm trying to be like, these are delicious. You know, I mean, like, thankfully the food was amazing. So I didn't have to pretend. Like I was so nervous. Like, what if the food is garbage?
Right.
But I mean, wings, burgers, you know, whatever. So, you know, long story short, I mean, it's going to air on Fox. I had the cross T hat on.
Big Fox?
It's cool. Big Fox, like our Fox, channel Fox 5.
Wow.
In the fall, I think it's episode 4 of this show. It's like it's a kitchen renovation show where he just kind of renovates. It's his thing.
Yeah.
But we were at the main table, and there was stationary cameras like stuck on the wall that they were operating. I saw them turning, as well as the big rigs that they had and the gimbaled ones and all that. So my wife and I were talking, and then Gordon came over. So this was they came over to us. He had an earpiece in, so I don't know if someone was feeding him this information.
Right.
But he was like, Golficity, you know, he goes, you're proud of what you've done, you know, in his Gordon accent, you know, Golficity. Everyone calls it Golf City, of course. It'll be that till forever. But then he's like 180,000 Instagram followers, all that. So he like knew, congratulations. Then he asked me what my favorite course was that I played. I said the old course. And I was like, you know, you could walk. I tried to throw in the cooking part. I was like, you could walk right off, get fish and chips at the Dunvegan. And it was National Fish and Chips Day that day, which was weird.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, he goes, that's such a wonderful spot. Like he knew all about it, of course.
Does he play golf? Did you ask him?
I didn't get that far because he was bounced from table to table. But like I had, those were my questions in my arsenal. Like, well, what's your handicap? Do you play? But I didn't get that far with him.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Either
take a
way,
photo with him. It wasn't allowed, all that stuff. But
it's just so funny sometimes the random stuff that pops up.
yeah, so random.
Yeah, we came in here, I think it was like last Friday, and Mike was like, yeah, I'm having dinner with Gordon Ramsay tonight. And I was just like, no, you're not.
And it was a Friday
No,
night.
you're
Like all the
not.
pieces just fell in place. So it was meant to be. And like the shirt thing, like I was like, oh, this is Mike. This maybe it wasn't meant to be because they're not going to put me on. They're like,
Right.
I have nothing in my car. Like they're like, you want to like one of the sweaty ones on the cruise back? I'm like, I guess so.
Oh my goodness. Take just a shirt off any cruise
just like-
and throw 'em on you.
Yeah, I'm about to eat with this thing, but it worked out.
For those that don't know, that's like one of Mike's like pet peeves, I would say.
Yeah,
It's
no.
just like
Yeah,
other people's
He's
stuff
not
in
wearing
general.
somebody's sweaty
Just,
shirt.
ugh.
No way. Anyway, yeah, so that's
See you
the
in Fox.
random Gordon
On
Ramsay
the
story. Back
Back
let's
to you,
cut back
Rick.
over to 18. So, all right. So, anyway, this Phil thing.
Yes.
So, Phil and Brandel, and we obviously we could do a whole podcast on it because there's so much at this point. All you need to know, the synopsis here is that they are at each other. Okay. And it's become
Have been for a while, and I think it's reaching the boiling point.
it is, and now it's becoming like it's. There's countless tweets you could pull up between these two, but I guess it's been thrown out there of doing some sort of formalized debate between the two of them. And you could see how that makes sense. They both like are talkers. They're both going to want to like try to run some sort of laps around the other guy from a debate standpoint. But what was interesting is there's definitely some miscommunication here. There was a tweet that Brandel had put up, basically saying that he had posed 2 different dates to Phil. And I'm summarizing this here, but he had posed 2 different dates and locations for a debate. And he even said that the moderator of the debate was a friend of Phil's, and it would be friendly, and it wouldn't just basically be just him bringing Phil into a trap.
Right.
Phil, though, responds to that and says, I don't know what Brandel's talking about. I don't know if he's either talking to an impersonator, a Phil impersonator, or he's just blatantly making this up. We never had that conversation. So clearly there's a lot of miscommunication going on here. But I mean, look, sure, you can get involved in it, and they're throwing jabs on Twitter back and forth. But there's also a bit of this that's showmanship. I mean, both of these guys, at least on the Brandel side, or make their living from creating a bit of controversy. I know a lot of people hate Brandel for this reason, but you got to also understand, like, it's kind of his job to make a little bit of like drama.
Sure.
You know, a little showmanship out there.
But if you're going to do that, you got to be able to take it as well. If you're going to give it as hard as Brandel gives it, you got to be able to take it. And Brandel, to me, seems like a take his ball and go home.
Well, evidence of that, did he block Phil?
He blocked
Phil. Or is this confirmed that he's blocked Phil?
Yeah, it says it here, I think.
So here you go. Phil, you're now saying that Brandel, Brandel's now blocked.
He can't handle it. He said, poor Brandel, Phil.
But here's the thing, like, that doesn't make any sense to me because, Brandel, why block him? Like, you need to know. You want to keep this, this conversation going.
Right. He did invite him to come onto the set of the U.S. Open. Phil's not going to do that?
Yeah, well, Phil said, look, I'm trying to compete for the U.S. Open's one of my most important weeks of the year.
It's his Grand Slam opportunity.
Go sit down with Brandel to try and get in my head before the U.S. Open.
That's smart.
It feels like that's why Brandel chose that week, because he knew that Phil would never say yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, though, has there ever been a moment in golf that's been more dramatic than right now?
Yes. About 2 years ago when all this live stuff was really
No, but that's what
off.
I mean. In general, like in the last, lumping together the last couple of years, when you bring in the Netflix series and all the drama that created, remember Brooks saying he didn't know who won the Masters?
Yeah.
Right? To the Phil drama, the live drama. Golf was, I think, always kind of thought of as the sport that did, for better or worse, didn't have the drama.
Right. But
Now
you sprinkle
it's
in the
like
drama and it just got a little bit bigger.
Right. So it just makes you wonder, like, all these peripheral spin-off type events, like we had the match, and the match is a lot of fake drama. It's just like NFL guys just taking jabs at each other jokingly.
Right.
But it makes you wonder, could it support like a show where it's just like guys going in and just debate each other?
It would be interesting. I think people would watch
People would watch.
I think so. I think it would be pretty good content right there.
Yeah.
And then they go play 9 holes.
Really
say
take
the
it
next
out.
match could be Phil versus Brandel.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
While they're mic'd up and they're ribbing each other the whole time.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
Phil would cut deep, though, because at this point, I think Phil doesn't have anything to lose. I think a lot of him has been exposed and uncovered.
Well,
and Brandel might have some skeletons that Phil might know about, and maybe, I don't know.
You're seeing that Brandel has these skeletons because I think in this overlay here, this lady, Lisa Cornwell, she is saying basically that Phil's a bully, or that Brandel's a bully and was always super aggressive when they worked together. And that, Phil is just like, this guy's not a good
Well,
guy.
that's what I'm saying. Like, Brandel's not a guy that anyone's on the fence about. You either love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. It makes for a lot of drama, and you never know what might more come out of it. But I think the big news here, if you wrap it up into anything, is that Phil is 100% fully out of hiding and back to embracing, whatever he wants to chat about. Because don't forget, Phil laid low for about a year, not tweeting at all. And if he's back to being vocal. So watch out.
He's almost a billionaire.
You never know what's coming.
You see that?
No.
That tweet about him some guy was like, how you doing with your gambling? He said, I haven't gambled in X amount of time, and I'm also a billionaire or close to a billionaire. That was a recent tweet that came
and then
out.
Colt Nost was like, so if you're not gambling anymore, can I have my $10,000 back?
That's great.
I don't know if I'm ready to believe that Phil's a billionaire.
He said very close to it in the tweet. He's like, he said almost a billionaire.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, with what he's worth.
He's probably had a couple $100 million in the bank before going to live. And then he went to live, got a couple more.
Still, where did he get the other 500?
Were speculating that he was like secretly broke because he had lost it all gambling.
Yeah, but also
feel good tweet.
I feel like you're not going to lose that much money. He was winning on tour for like 10, 15 years. Like that, you're going to have a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, and he's behind the scenes. Isn't he like a big part owner in like Mizzen in Maine and some of those other brands?
A lot of brands.
But even though he's not the face of them anymore, he's still making money from them.
Totally.
So anyway, the other story was, so Rose Zhang, there's not a lot of people in any sports who can say that they came out and won their first professional event. But, you know,
did Tiger even, like, we got the tweet, Tiger congratulated her. Like, I just saw that Hello World. It reminded me of what Tiger said when he first played. Did Tiger win his first event? That Buick Open or whatever that was, that 1996?
No, I don't think Tiger won his
That whole Hello World, I'm here. He didn't win that.
No.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
I don't want to spec
I don't know.
on
But what I'm saying staying on the Tiger thing here, go back to that quote. So Tiger, you know, congratulations, because it's true. Like, imagine this. She defends her NCAA title, turns pro, and then wins her pro debut.
Yeah.
There's your Hello World. Look out for 100%. Rose. You know, we could see a lot of incredible stuff out of her. But that's one way to kick off your career with a win.
And she broke Tiger's NCAA win record. Wow. I think it was either consecutive wins or just wins in general, and she beat out Tiger by one spot.
It just shows you that there's some incredible talent there, and look out, because that's somebody that if she pours it on, she could jump up to world #1 really quick. So maybe we could see a lot of records broken. So keep an eye out for that. The other thing I want to mention really quick is, so next week, not this week, next week, going to get fit for the new Titleist T Series.
Dude, you realize where you're going to get fit? That place is like...
Is it legit?
Yeah, I heard.
I know it's a spot out in Connecticut.
I was in Connecticut this weekend talking to some locals, and I told them about it, and they're like, dude, there's a lot of money at this place.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm psyched for it. So,
but whatever. You won't experience any of that. You'll be on the range.
We'll be on the range. But regardless, I'm so psyched because we saw this lineup. We got a picture here of the new...
Look how pretty they look.
I mean, gorgeous all the way through the line. And this is one thing that I'm really... The reason I'm so interested is I've been really loving these fittings and going with like mixed and blended bags. I mean, I come from the days when I was in high school and stuff like that, I'd buy a set of irons off the rack, just basically whichever ones looked good to me. Yeah. Right. And we've come so far from there, just learning about the process of getting fit. And it's been 2 years since we were last fit for irons.
I can't believe it's 2 years.
I know
already.
It's flies, right? It's flies how quickly it is. I still remember that day though, because it was so hot. I had to like drink between every swing. You're just like sweating through the shirt. Yep. It was like a 95 degree, 80% humidity summer day. We were getting fit. So hopefully get a little bit better weather this time. But I'm really interested to see what they've done with the lineup, and then what we can look at. Maybe I'll be really kind of questioning the fitter and seeing like, hey, what do you think about doing a blended set? Because I love the idea of like with some of the mid and lower irons of having something that's a little bit, more towards that, like the T150 and stuff like that. And then where we need the forgiveness going up the line for the T200s and the T350s they've got now. Yeah.
Then bring those back up. Frank, I'm looking forward to your 2 through 4 T100s. 2 through 4. We constant joke around and go because Frank's hot right now on the course.
Oh God.
But no, wait, go back because I want to look at those T3. So 350s on the top. Yeah. Look at the size of it, like the difference. See how as you go down, that little border starts to disappear.
Yeah. Because what that border is that those are like a cavity back type. Yeah. It's kind of covering that backing. So what I like though is that the lineup from all the way through the lineup looks so similar that a blended set is going to look very cohesive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking at the option of doing a blended set. Either way, you know how I like to do it. I like to just put myself in the fitter's hands, and whatever they say goes, because
Did you go
They know
blackout if
better.
you go blackout if you can?
Potentially. That's the
Yeah,
other
but
thing. It's like they've got the black options.
The
now,
black
too.
option was for the last set of T
Series.
series irons. So
Yeah.
are we gonna have to wait another 2 years?
It's a good
for the
question.
next
Sometimes
set
the
of all
black comes out later. We'll have to see. Either way, they look so good the way they are. I'm
They
just
do.
psyched to hit them.
They do.
So stay tuned because we'll let you guys know how that goes. Of course, we'll be doing a full fitting video. The reason I say my fitting is Mike's actually going to be away on vacation. So I'm going to get fit, and then I can report back to you how it went, and then you're going to get fit like the week or two after that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get to see 2 fitting videos on the main channel.
Love it.
Which is good too because we often get fit into 2 different things, and there's a lot to cover in a
Yeah, I don't
fitting.
want to put us together in that because there's so much you can get out of it. So much you learn from watching those videos too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially it just shows you the fittings, the benefit, because different golfers end up fitting to different things for different reasons.
Mhm.
And we are very different golfers. So I think that really kind of helps.
Yeah.
Get to see all that. So anyway, that's everything we have for you guys this week. We're going to be diving into the US Open on the podcast next week. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next week.